Football show, part of Not a Casual. Aaron and Strays. What is today?
What up?
April
7th.
It's Masters Week.
Yeah, there was
I know you don't
seven,
care.
7 for 7, something at 7 Brew today.
Oh, for Masters Week.
No, they just do it every month on the 7th, from 7 to
Shout
7.
out 7 Brews. Shout out 7.
Every 7th from 7 to 7, you get 2 mediums for. Sometimes you get like 2 mediums for $7, or you buy 2 mediums and you get something for free. So today I got those. They're like the car cup holder koozies or coasters. They're pretty cool.
Speaking of 7 Brews, which this has nothing to do with college football. My eyes look a little droopy. The answer is because of our amazing man to my left. I got on a bike today for the first time in 20 years, and 2 miles in, I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, that was me yesterday on my 4-mile ride.
I was like, this is not which I probably could have gone longer today. I haven't ridden a bike with gears in 20 years. In your head, you're like, I remember how to do this. And then I got to a point where I had to cross traffic, and I was like,
nope.
What's the play here? So as soon as I got home, I was like, what do you do? And everyone was like, put it in the lowest gear you can, just pedal like crazy. If you try to start from like a third gear, everybody in traffic's gonna get very mad at you. Like, okay. But 7 Brews ties into this because there is a 7 Brews that it's a good distance. But that's my goal by June.
Nice. Bike there, drink a coffee, bike home. I love it.
Yeah. It's going to be, that's like my goal. And then the lake's a little bit long story, but, got a lot to get into today, or tonight, I should say. College Football Playoff has announced what they're doing for the 2027 College Football Playoff National Championship. The NCAA, and Owen Heineke, former tight end for the University of Oklahoma, are in court. And although it is something that kind of hits home for me, it does bring up, and we'll get into it, it does bring up something that Coach John Calipari was talking about in the men's NCAA basketball tournament, and just those two situations just scream why the NCAA being so inconsistent on eligibility is just going to be a problem going forward. Biggest takeaways from college football spring games across the country, and then we are going to do, as we do every episode, a Mount Rushmore, and this week's Mount Rushmore is of college football controversies, and there has been a ton of them. Before we do that, I do need to send a special note to anyone who might take advantage of this promo that On3 is running. If you are paying $20 a month to keep track of college football transfer portal news, you need to find a hobby. You need a hobby if you're willing to pay $20 a month to On3 and Rivals to track portal moves. Like, go outside, touch some grass, do something.
That's hilarious. Just download Twitter. Hey, shout out to On3 though for doing what they got to do to make a buck. I respect it.
I do. I just saw this and went, well, hold on a second, because then I thought maybe because of my years in radio, I thought maybe I was on Brittany and Aaron's in the morning profile, and I thought the algorithm may have been like to people who are in media. No, this is just On3 to fans. Hey, want to keep track of
portal promo?
There you go. All right, college football playoff. Las Vegas. So this was the big news today that really kind of interests me. The kickoff of the 2027 College Football Playoff National Championship had a committee, had a conference today at the Las Vegas Convention Center where plans were revealed for a championship campus experience that will transform the city of Las Vegas into a 4-day weekend celebrating college football. This was the quote: "Our weekend in Las Vegas will be about far more than just the college football national championship," said Rich Clark, executive director of the CFP. "In the days leading up to Monday, January 25th, 2027, fans will experience an exciting lineup of events that capture the passion, energy, and pageantry of college football. Whether you're inside the stadium or enjoying the festivities across the city, there will be something for everyone." Working alongside the Las Vegas host committee. My favorite part is when he says, "Experience an exciting lineup of events that capture the passion, energy, and pageantry of college football in the most uncollege football city in the entire world."
Well, you don't think very highly of UNLV's program?
No, no, I don't. There's a reason the NBA and college basketball does so much stuff in Vegas. It's for all intents and purposes, it's a basketball city.
Yeah. I definitely ain't a football city. That pro team that they got there is just it's a mess. No, but I think it is funny that they are doing this in Las Vegas, because when you think of college football cities, you don't think of Las Vegas, right? You think of areas like in the Midwest, the upper Midwest, the Southeast, the West Coast. Like, you don't really think about the desert in Nevada. That's not what you think about unless you're a Tate Martell kind of guy, which I was at one point, and then he just turned out to not be the guy at Ohio State. Impressive pull, right? Tate Martell, shout out to that guy.
Hey, his high school tape out of Vegas was pretty crazy.
He was pretty. What was it? Bishop Gorman that he played at. He was a baller in high school. No, but I think it's good to do this because it gives. And this might be an unpopular opinion. I think that it should happen every single year in Las Vegas. I feel like all the rest of the college football places, the Rose Bowl, that's going to happen. Your stuff at Arlington, your stuff in Atlanta, all of the stuff that happens in all of the historic football sites in the postseason are all leading up to this new thing that is in Las Vegas, because not only is it significant because we are in a new era of college football, but it's also it's a sprawling city with so much to do, more than just gamble, but also gambling is such a major part of sports now. It makes sense. And Allegiant Stadium is really, really cool. So I think this is going to be a win for college football. I will be curious to see what the fan experience thing's going to look like once that happens in, that weekend leading up to what is that game? The last week of January?
Yeah, very last week of January.
Why is it a week later than usual?
Well, that's like that's the thing that I think we were complaining about the most last year was, man, this college football playoff is just spread out way too far.
It was on the 20th in 25, and it was on the 21st this year.
Yeah.
They're moving it 6 days back.
And I think they're trying to do it because, they want there to be enough time between the last round of the playoff to do this, 4-day weekend thing.
Well, they can still do that. They can still do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the game's on Monday.
You would think so. I mean, now the only thing I could see is if they're wanting the teams in town to do media,
that almost like a Super Bowl media row thing.
Yeah, that could be a tough turnaround if you get done playing on a Saturday or Sunday, and you're going to get those kids on a plane, Monday or Tuesday to get out there, and now they're not getting settled in. They're jumping right into media, and part of what you said, I agree with. I think last year I talked about it a ton, that I was tired of the college football playoff national championship rotating cities, that I thought it was dumb and it needed to be in the same place. I've been a proponent of it needed to be in Arlington. I'm a bigger proponent of that now that they've built that Indy track around that wraps around Cowboy Stadium, and it goes up to the old Parks at Arlington ballpark. It goes over to the new Rangers. And so they've got this new Indy track. So there's a whole bunch of extra infrastructure built out, plus what the Cowboys have done in Frisco, which is just, right down the highway. I'm a fan of it staying in one city. And not that it would happen, but I can already tell people on Twitter are like, oh, so when USC gets back, it's in their backyard. And for those people, I'm just going to say, how many times have we done this in Atlanta when Georgia's in it?
Yeah. Also, USC's not getting back.
No.
I don't see that happening in the next decade.
Oregon got a better shot.
Much better shot this year.
Yeah. I don't dislike it. I mean, I think old school college football fans are going to say, well, this is like the NFL.
It already is.
It's already like the NFL. I'm reading a book right now. And by reading it, I mean, I'm doing reading some pages and then doing the rest in audio book, a book called The League, how 5 rivals created the NFL and launched the sports empire. And at the very beginning of the book, they're talking, they tell the stories of each owner. They're talking about George Halas, with the Bears. And they were talking about the controversy back in 1890 when college athletes were getting paid under the table. 1890.
It's been going on for 130 years, people.
So
it's just legal now.
If you're an old school college football fan and you're like, oh, we're getting in bed with Vegas and it's all about money. It's always been about money. We could control the narrative better when we didn't have social media, and we could fool fans into this, these are your hometown kids playing for you just can't do that now.
Yeah. Now it's just, we see the contracts and how much the players are getting paid, and everything is brought to you by XYZ Sportsbook.
Yes.
Instead of these players are getting paid under the table and getting cars sent to their parents, and your bookie is going to hunt you down for not paying what you were supposed to pay. Now you can do everything online. Yeah, it's just like I said, it's just a new era, and I think it would be smart to lean into it on the college football side of things. I think it's dumb to fight it anymore. It is what it is at this point, and I think when it comes to something like the national championship game, if you have that rotation just out the window, you don't have to worry about that anymore because you have a place that you're going to play it every single season. That takes another thing of worry off of the table. And it's like the road to Vegas. I mean, that's kind of cool. You go into the season, you're like, our goal, I can see on Ohio State's clipboard right now, would be beat the team up north, win the Big Ten, get to Vegas. Bang, bang, bang. You could say that every single year. So I don't know. I think it's a good move. But again, if it was Arlington, if it was in LA, if it was in it's Las Vegas, if they decided that they wanted to do it in, I don't know, some other major city that's on that level of latitude, I don't even know. Latitude.
Makes sense. I mean, if you're going to do it, I think Vegas is probably the perfect spot to try it, because that's a city that you can do this and it's not something that's going to stress them out in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they've
got the hotels, they've got plenty of space.
They'll do WrestleMania in April. They do F1 every year. So they're used to events of that magnitude and size, and it not, hurt them at all. And, if you do it and you're like, okay, yeah, this worked really well, we really like this, great. Then you decide, let's do a 5-year contract here, and then maybe you do 5 years here, 5 years there. I've been a proponent of this for the NFL for a while, where I've thought,
yeah,
why don't we play it for 5 straight years in the same place?
It's going to be even farther away from that because everybody's building a roof and everybody wants to host the Super Bowl. So now we're going to have this 32 straight years. It's going to happen in 32 different cities. So we just get ready for that one to happen.
All right. NCAA makes a case against Owen Heineke returning to OU football in an eligibility lawsuit. So, there's a preliminary injunction in the District Court of Cleveland County, which is just right down the road from me. There's a hearing happening April 16th at 8:30. If you're not familiar with this, so Owen Heineke has, according to the NCAA, played out all his eligibility. Played 3 years at Oklahoma. He played a couple of lacrosse games at Ohio State. They are saying that cost him his college eligibility.
What? I've never heard that rule in my life.
So, he's asking, they're saying three seasons of college football, and they're saying that his 5-year period of eligibility has expired because of this, because of playing lacrosse at Ohio State, playing in a couple of games. It doesn't make any sense for two reasons. Number one, we expanded the amount of games that red shirts can play. That doesn't hurt their eligibility.
They can play 7 this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild.
It's like, what's the point even having just give them 5 years and call it a day?
Yeah, and the minute that I read this, and of course, being that it's right down the highway, I text somebody and said, explain this, because I don't get it. How is this a controversy? And he said, well, that is the university's point on it. And right on the back of that, I was watching, we won't talk about the name because it is who it is, but John Calipari did some stuff with a very big sports media thing. And he was talking about, they were saying, college basketball, the skill level's never been better. And he said, well, that's because we got 26 and 27-year-old men playing in college basketball, because these guys can come from overseas where they played semi-pro, and then they can come over to America and get 4 years of college eligibility through the NCAA. Stuff like this is this is what just makes the argument for the SEC and Big Ten when they go, why don't we just do our own thing? Because this is nothing's consistent. What you will and won't allow to happen, there's no case precedent that apparently makes any sense to anyone. And so here you got a kid who played a couple of lacrosse games. You're saying, oh, he doesn't have any college eligibility left. Meanwhile, on the college basketball side, you let a couple of guys come in from overseas who played 3 years, and now they got to play for 2 years.
What's the difference in playing 3 years of college football and playing a couple lacrosse games and being a multi-sport athlete?
That's a good question.
That makes no sense at all. Because Patrick Mahomes was multi-sport athlete. Kyler Murray, multi-sport athlete. Are you saying that he was ineligible for his last season of college football because he burned up all his NCAA eligibility by playing baseball every year after football season's over? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. I really don't understand this rule at all.
And I don't know, because he obviously didn't play any football at Ohio State.
No. Yeah, because I don't know this guy's name.
If it came down to, like, hey, you should have redshirted him, and that is what they're saying is like, oh, you didn't redshirt him, you let him play a couple of games, that's where you screwed up. I'm going to tell the NCAA, your redshirt rule doesn't make any sense. Like, if a kid can play 6 games, football. That's been my point exactly.
He wasn't even playing a couple games of football. Like, he was playing a couple games of rich kid field hockey.
Yes.
Lacrosse is dope, by the way. I love lacrosse. They know there's the stereotype. I feel like lacrosse kids know it, but yeah, like, I mean, if field hockey uses college football eligibility, I've got some questions about a certain Notre Dame wide receiver. What are we doing here? I don't get this at all. This is just weird. Also, like, just let the kid play. Dylan Gabriel played 6 seasons of college football. What are we doing?
Well, and his case is the NCAA is arguing several items against his case, including a lack of standing in his breach of contract claim, a lack of proof for irreparable harm, and that Heineke's claim harmed is undermined by his delay in seeking relief. Well, first of all, I don't think in any way, shape, or form anyone affiliated with him or the university thought this was going to be an issue. And now that you have come down with a judgment on it, he can't go enter the NFL draft. Like, you screwed this kid 7 different ways from Sunday.
Yeah, because it's way too late to declare for the draft.
Yeah, so he can't go to the NFL draft.
It's in 20 days.
He can't play college football. UFL season already started. So now you're telling me this kid's got to sit out for an
CFL
entire year?
Starts in July, I guess. I don't know. That is, yeah, there's just so much to this that just like makes no sense. And if this is the route that the NCAA is going to start to go, it's going to get real messy. Because
you are actively harming a kid's chances of making a living at the thing he has been doing since he was in diapers.
Yeah. And it's being done in a manner in which makes no sense.
Yeah, you had a 27-year-old kid that played in the Final Four this year. 27.
I mean, Michigan's starting 5 was all transfers.
Every single one of them.
And I'm pretty sure that their big post guy is like a mid-20s European guy.
Yeah, I mean, and the when the NCAA decides to do stuff like this where they want to fight and make mountains out of molehills,
they pick the wrong battles always.
Like, you want to make and I had somebody that when I was texting somebody, they made a great point. They said if you wanted to go to battle with somebody about eligibility, a college football blue blood's not the one, because now this becomes a national story.
Yeah, it's either Oklahoma or Ohio State. You're like, that is 2 of the biggest brands in college football. It's absolutely going to be on the forefront of everything. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens. You said that hearing is on the 16th?
Yep. So April 16th at 8:30 a.m. I might go down there.
You should.
Because I just want to hear, like, what is the NCAA's argument here?
You absolutely should go to that.
Yeah, I would sit in there, take some notes. I want to see how many attorneys show up for how bad do you want to do this? Like, if 12 guys from the NCAA walk in, all I go is, listen, this kid may not play football, but you will lose in the court of public opinion all season long. You will get skull drug for this every time anybody that talks about college football opens up a microphone.
Who's representing Heineke?
It doesn't say here in the article, and I forgot to ask.
That'll be interesting.
But, the worst thing for the NCAA is that this is filed in Cleveland County, and the largest employer in Cleveland County is the University of Oklahoma.
Yikes.
So good luck, NCAA. Yeah. There's a better than good chance the judge you're going to sit in front of went to University of Oklahoma School of Law.
Yep.
Oh, so talk about battles.
What a wild world. Moral of the story: if you want to keep your eligibility in one sport, don't transfer to another school and play a different sport. That's what the NCAA is trying to teach us here. Makes no sense.
Don't try to be a well-rounded athlete. Just pick a sport, which just goes right back into every 2-sport athlete that I see at the college level. I think, boy, you must have really wanted to do this, because I guarantee you've been told that you were in 7th grade you needed to pick a sport.
Yeah,
because that's how it is now. Everybody's like, pick one.
Where do you land on that?
I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
I have some experience with it, as you know.
Right.
I think it's a case by case basis. I like it when I see kids that play football that also play baseball because I think baseball brings in a hardworking mentality that other sports do not have. I mean, I had a former national championship winning coach at Oklahoma tell me one time for baseball, it doesn't matter how athletic you are until you see 3,000 curveballs, you're not going to be able to hit one at the Division I level.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think at a college level, it's incredibly hard. I can't think of off the top of my head anybody in college that did it past their sophomore year because I just think the schedule gets too demanding. But as far as high school goes, I think every football kid should run track. I think every baseball kid should play basketball. You know, I think if you play soccer, I think you ought to. If you have soccer at your school and you're playing basketball, I think you ought to play soccer because it really does help your footwork. And I think if you've got a kid that's under the age of 13, I think you ought to.
And he's playing everything.
Yeah, play it all.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
right
there with you. Everything. Yeah, I'm very pro multi-sports. You know, I was a 4-sport athlete all the way through high school until I quit baseball and basketball my senior year because I hated the baseball coach and I didn't want to play basketball anymore because I wasn't very good at it. And I'm only 5'6" and I was tired of getting dunked on all the time. So I was done with that. And so I will always be someone who says, yeah, if you want to play baseball, run track, play football, and play basketball all in one school year, do it because it is possible. You might. I didn't make a single track practice until my senior year. I was at baseball practice, and then sometimes I would miss baseball practice on Tuesdays because I had a track meet or Thursdays. I don't even remember when they were. But do it, 100% do it. But again, what the NCAA is telling us is in college, don't do that.
And I tell high school kids this all the time. Best piece of advice I can give any high school athlete: learn to play golf.
Bro, the golfers that I was friends with in school, in college, I was like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to go to practice." I'm like, "What are you? You're sleeping on the couch in the Union. What do you mean?" Yeah, I just got to go, hit some balls later this afternoon. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and more when you get to be an adult, more business, and you get more out. I could tell you this from personal experience that I have seen guys who because they played high school golf or because they played college golf and it's on their resume, they get job opportunities because the guy in the C-suite's like, "Hey, I got a new golfing buddy."
Yeah. And also a lot of sales calls happen on the greens. So
a lot of business done on the golf course. All right. Biggest takeaways from college football spring games across the country. Shout out to the schools that did it this year, because some of them did a really good job of.
We got a big weekend this weekend.
We do have a big weekend this weekend.
I did this weekend and next weekend are most of the games.
Most of them. I did see South Carolina had a spring game. Hey, I don't want to be that guy. But South Carolina might want to look at the women's basketball coach at wide receiver if she's got any college eligibility left. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. That was Dawn Staley is just a spectacular human being in sports.
Yep.
Like 100% one of the most legendary figures in sports. And I have to say figures because not only is she a national championship head coach, she's also a national championship player, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, and also caught a touchdown at the South Carolina spring football game this year.
She did that in the same 7-day stretch that she almost got in a fight with Gino Auriemma. I was like, this girl
what was that about, by the way? That was
and I'm not going to defend him. I am a Gino guy. I love old school hard coaches, and he's one of them. But somebody was like, "What do you?" I go, "Here's what it is. He's a New York Italian. That's what that was." He was mad. He thought he was. He was mad for the reason that he was mad for the wrong reason. He took it out on the wrong person. he felt pretty stupid. But as far as spring games go, some of the things, not only first impressions, but things that I'm looking forward to. I think the spring games that everybody is going to be tuned into. First off the top, I think LSU. Everyone is going to probably, want to see what happens there. Uh, you're not going to see a whole lot out of Sam Levitt. And if you're if you're tuning into LSU spring game to watch Sam Levitt throw, you got like 3 years of Arizona State tape you could watch. The kid
Just
can throw.
not the last half of last year because he was hurt the whole time.
Yeah. Miami for sure, I think could be really a fun one. Even though Duke, so the fact that Duke won the ACC last year just boggles my mind.
They got to figure out who's going to win that. Like,
figure out how to seed your conference some way where you get a game that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kirk Cignetti. Obviously, I'm not a Cignetti fan. I will give him his props in his lead up to spring game, going to bat for his quarterback. I'm a Sonny Dykes guy. I love Sonny Dykes at TCU. Sonny, for the sake of your football program and future recruits, do not get on national television and talk bad about the quarterback that just left. It is not a good look.
The best quarterback they've seen since Trayvon Boykin?
Yeah. He was like, oh, we gave up a lot of interceptions. Well, Josh gave up a lot of interceptions. I was like, bro, you didn't. People would have drawn the conclusion without you saying it.
We blame the 21-year-olds on turnover. That's crazy. I don't think I saw that soundbite.
And Cignetti went to bat for his quarterback, which is a good look. That gets a lot of respect, and I'll be excited to see what they're doing. As far as the SEC goes, I think the spring game that most people are going to be interested in watching. That again, I don't think spring games matter a whole lot, but once that spring game kicks off in Tuscaloosa, I think Kellen DeBoer's on the clock.
100%.
Like, this may be your last year in Tuscaloosa.
Is at 2 p.m. on this Saturday.
Yep. They were ranked 125th in rushing last year, which is not Alabama.
No, that, like, if you say Alabama and that stat in the same sentence, people are going to look at you like, what are you talking about?
Did everyone get hurt? Like, what happened?
Did they just not run the football?
And that's kind of what it felt like last year. It felt like they never just could get it started. And
yeah, it was the Ty Simpson show for sure.
And I have, I root for a school, and so do you, that have had stretches where the run game was legendary, and then you'd have like a couple year period where you go, what is going on? Like,
they just can't find the guy. Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And I think for Alabama, you once we started having to pay players, you couldn't call Mark Henry and go, I need you to take a trip and go talk to a kid. Like, that may not mean a whole lot. Or not Mark Henry, Derrick Henry. Mark Henry, the WWE
Mark
wrestler.
Henry's the wrestler, right? I was like, wait a second. What's he doing?
His kids are on the wrestling and football team at Oklahoma. That's why his name's on my head. But you can't just call out Derrick Henry and go, I need you to go see a kid in Louisiana or Florida and talk to him about playing running back. It's a different era. And DeBoer runs a different style of offense.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what we as college football fans need to become accustomed to is this is not Nick Saban's Alabama. And I think that it's time that we accept it. I don't think Alabama fans are going to want to accept it, but I think like nationally, college football fans just need to come to terms with the fact that like you don't need to talk about Alabama like they're the big bad boogeyman anymore, because they're not. It's not Nick Saban's Alabama. The whole premise, and I've talked about, I feel like I have beat a dead horse with this talking point on this show for the last year. The SEC is viewed the way it is because of Nick Saban. Alabama is viewed the way that it is because of Nick Saban. Nick Saban is no longer there. It is a completely different era And I think people are going to need to come to terms with that. And just, I think Kalen DeBoer needs to be given a little bit of grace too, because like, how are you supposed to be the guy that follows up Nick Saban?
It's the worst job in the history of college football.
Like it's impossible. You know, it's an impossible job. I think Kalen DeBoer has done a really good job of it so far, outside of that week one, whatever happened last year. I don't think that that's going to happen this year. I do think Alabama's going to be much more ready to go this year, but they got a lot of questions. You know, I think they're going to have another new quarter. They're going to have a new quarterback. They obviously need to figure out their run game. I think their defense, I think, gave up 35 points to Indiana in the first half. Like, yeah, I know Indiana had a really good offense this year, but come on, dude. Ohio State held them to 10 points in the Big Ten championship game. So it's not the same Alabama, and I think we need to become more accustomed to that. But I do think that you're right, though. I think Alabama, they wanted his head on a stake after week one this last year. So yeah, that clock, as soon as that ball is kicked at 2:00 on Eastern time on Saturday, April 11th, this Saturday, his clock is ticking.
And, and it's sad. Being as the guy on the show that roots for a team in the SEC, and I'll say this to any SEC fan, but specifically Alabama fans, the SEC is going into an era that may be the best from a end-to-end conference, the most parity and most fun that you will have on a consistent basis on Saturday, because you have finally a conference where you can make a case every Saturday that any team can beat anybody on any given day. And that hasn't always been the case in that conference.
Yeah.
And if you told me, hey, I think LSU could line up and beat Georgia, I don't think that's crazy. If you said, hey, Ole Miss, it could line up and beat Texas, I'm not telling you you're nuts. And, it's not fun. It's fun for the team at the top, like in Alabama, when you are ruling a conference like that, and I know what that feels like. Like,
yeah.
And so do you. It's fun as the fan of those teams, but as a conference, when you look at it and then the national narrative becomes, oh, your conference is top heavy, then you realize for the good of my team, they need to be able to line up every Saturday and have to play somebody that could beat them.
Yeah.
Because you need to be battle tested going into the playoff. Oklahoma, the reason they lost in the college football playoff for however many years straight in a row is because they did not have enough competition in the Big 12. And so you didn't have to adapt the way you played. You didn't have to adapt any of your coaching. You didn't have to adapt to anything. And you would get in and play a Big Ten or an SEC team and you get blown out.
Yeah.
So
especially with the size and speed that is in the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah.
It's not just like the Big 12 has always been fast. Like that's
skill positions. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was always the Big 12's thing. Like that's why they would have 60-point games. But the SEC and the Big Ten also have that kind of speed, but that speed is also about 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah. And they might have 3 guys at the same position.
Yeah.
So, it turns into a war of attrition. Other things that people are watching is Ohio State recycling on defense. I saw somebody, and I can't remember if it's Plank or somebody that ranked Ohio State at 6 in the preseason poll, and his exact reasoning was questions on defense.
It's Matt Patricia.
Listen, Matt Patricia put a bunch of smoke and mirrors together for that defense for the first 5 games. Like, you didn't know where the holes were. And then even when people figured out, hey, there might be some holes, it was so late into the year that the other skill positions on defense were better.
Yeah.
Than they were weeks 1 through 5. So he can figure it out, and the offense will be dramatically better.
Much better.
I don't know how this is so hard for like college football guys in the media to understand. They're like, well, the defense might take a step back. And I'm like, but if the offense takes 2 steps forward, don't those 2 things like cancel each other
they
out.
would still be a step further than where they were last year if that's the case.
I'm like, I don't understand. Well, they may be able, they may give up 21. Yeah, but if they score 38, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, I think as the Ohio State guy, I think this season is going to be more. Last year felt like an aberration. It was like, this is not the norm at Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't play slow, grind the clock out offense. They don't play shut down defense. That's not Ohio State's thing. Ohio State typically has a really good defense and a phenomenal offense. It was the complete opposite last year. It was a really good offense and just an otherworldly, like historically great defense last year. And I think, I think they gave up 10 a game, something like that.
Yeah.
If they give up 17 a game this year and their offense is, still scoring the same amount of points that they scored last season, they'll still be fine. But like you said, I really do think that offense is going to be otherworldly this next season. Julian Sain's going to be able to open it wide up, like just floor it basically at the quarterback position. He's got a brand new shiny toy that's 6'7", 230 pounds as a true freshman. So, and by the way, Jeremiah Smith is still on the Ohio State college football roster. So I think they'll be just fine. Yeah, 6 is weird. That's fine with me.
Hey, as a guy that has spent more years than I can count being preseason number 1, the first couple of years we were like preseason, like just top 15. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of preseason number 1. My webcam literally just shut off, didn't it?
Yeah, it's just a black screen here.
Oh, that's fun.
There we go.
It just went to sleep. That's fun. All right, last thing on spring games. The other coach who I think is on the clock once that ball snaps for their spring game is Steve Sarkisian down at Texas.
100%.
You can't keep giving this guy the best rosters that Texas has had since the Colt McCoy years and not result in something. Whether it's got to be either an SEC championship or you got to make it to the college football playoff. Like you just have, it has to result in something, and it can't result in, well, if the committee would have been, we can't, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're paying him a crap ton of money. And that roster is expensive. Let's see what they added pass rusher Raleek Brown from I can't remember where he's Cam Coleman. That's the name I was saying. The number 1 wide receiver in the transfer portal. They added a tailback. So, they've got everything they need to do something. Now, if Arch comes out first week of the season and sets the world on fire, it'll take an act of God for them not to rank Texas at number 1 for the first half of the season.
Well, week 2, they have to play Ohio State. So we're going to learn a lot about both of those teams week 2 in Austin, Texas. And that game's going to be buku bonkers, just like it was last year. But I think that game is going to be one of those things where it's going to be Ryan Day has Steve Sarkisian's number. He beat Texas twice in the same calendar year last year. That's going to be one of the storylines. The other one's going to be Arch Manning needs to get his get back. Arch Manning needs to have a year that everybody's been waiting for him to have for the last 3 years. It's time. I mean, he started to really come alive the second half of the season last season. And for everybody in the comments that has a lot to say about how we feel about Arch Manning, we know. We watched him every single week. We talk about him every single week. We know. We watched him. The issue is, leading up to the beginning of last season, we were being told by so many people in all corners of college football media that he was the best quarterback that we've seen since Timothy Tebow in college football. And then he comes out and just doesn't look good for the first 6 games of the year. I mean, granted, he had a game or 2 here or there where he played really well the first half of the season. But overall, Arch had an underwhelming season compared to how he was being talked about beginning of that year. And again, He's been on that roster. This is going to be his 4th year. Everybody wants to say that this is his 2nd year as a starter. Yes, I understand that. He started 3 games 2 years ago when Quinn Ewers went down with an injury. He played meaningful snaps in the college football playoff semifinal against the Ohio State University. I don't want to hear any more of the conversation about, well, he just needs more time. It's his senior year. We've been talking about this kid like he's the best draft prospect at quarterback since freaking John Elway. And everybody, and we're sitting here waiting for him to have a career game, a game that's like, oh, yep, Arch Manning is the best quarterback in the country. I fully believe it. That just hasn't happened yet. And I don't know that it's going to happen, but if it's going to happen, this is going to be the year for it to happen. And it has to happen if Steve Sarkisian wants to have a job in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Arch the same way I look at Bronny James. Take the name off of the back of their jersey, replace it with Smith, and they're not in the position they're in. They're just not.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Arch couldn't be that guy, but he would not. They would have moved on from him by this point. People are like, oh, there's a difference between practice and game. Well, they didn't see enough in practice to be confident in it that they talked to Quinn Ewers, or Quinn Ewers suddenly decided he wanted to come back one more year. If this kid was setting the world on fire, Quinn Ewers is not coming back for another year at Texas.
Yeah.
So there was something they were seeing in scrimmages and practice where they were going, he's not there. He does not have it.
Yeah. But again, we say all this stuff about Arch. I just have a feeling, I've been thinking about it for like a couple weeks now. I have a feeling that he's going to be fantastic this season. And
yeah, I hope so.
I do. I feel like Texas is still going to find a way to screw it up, but I do think that Arch is going to have a fantastic season.
Agreed.
I just need to see it.
Agreed. That's the thing. I just want someone to tell me. I want people to show me instead of tell me. I'm so tired of people. Well, he did this, and we've had fans giving us numbers, and I'm like, yeah, you're giving us numbers, and 70% of those yards were against teams that were horrible.
Yeah, UTSA or UTEP or whoever it is.
Like, come on.
San Jose State, right. He looked like
like dog crap for the first half of that game.
Dude, yeah, me and Steve were talking in our chat. Our text thread was like, Arch does not look good. It was San Jose State.
We were like, what happens if they lose? And that was a real possibility at halftime that you thought they might lose this football game.
Yeah, it was like they could have started 0-2 last year.
Yeah,
it was bizarre.
Very easily. All right, real quick before we get out of here, we're going to do our Mount Rushmore of college football controversies. There have been a ton of college football controversies over the year, but what are, in our opinion, the 4 college football controversies that reign supreme and will be on our Mount Rushmore? Would you like to go first?
Sure. All of mine actually go back to as far as 2023. So I'm just going to throw that one out there. My first and most obvious choice for my Mount Rushmore is Connor Stallions in the sign stealing. I think there has been enough evidence and enough conversation and a national disputing of that Michigan national championship and those 3 seasons when Connor Stallions was doing the paying people to go into stadiums for the advanced illegal video cameras and all that kind of stuff. I understand that everybody steals signs. It's a part of the game. But the way that this psychopath was doing it, this man had a manifesto. Connor Stallions was not a normal human being. He had a manifesto about how he was going to take over the Michigan football program. Like this man was crazy, and the effort and the money and the strategy that went into this sign stealing scandal is crazy. And I don't think that Michigan is ever going to be able to get out from, like, this is always going to be brought up. It's kind of like, I don't know if this one's going to be on your Mount Rushmore or not, but the Joe Paterno thing, Penn State, people still bring it up with Penn State. Like, there are still signs made at College Game Day when they're at Penn State. It's just one of those things. And I do think that the Connor Stallions sign stealing thing is going to be very much one of the things that sticks around the Michigan football program for years to come?
I'm going to take one that was kind of close to home for us because we were in that conference and it really hit home, and that was the Baylor sexual assault scandal with Art Briles. Um, of all the schools at the time that you thought something like this would be going on at, it was not Baylor. It was a weird time. There things like this things like this have gone on in college football for a long time. You know, right, wrong, or indifferent, these things have gone on in college football for a long time. They don't typically happen at a school that is considered the premier school of the Southern Baptist Convention. Like that's just not where it was. And I just remember the stories getting wilder of them having, a group of girls that they had a name for them, and like I can't remember if it was the Baylor Bear, something with Baylor, and you were like, "This is what is going on." And to this day, Art Briles, he's not had a major college football coaching job, and I think it's been up until the last few years his name quit coming up when major jobs would come open. But there for a while, the talk was, has it been long enough? I'm glad to say it has not been long enough.
Yeah.
And he does not have a major college coaching job because he shouldn't.
Yeah. Might be for the best that he doesn't get one.
Yeah, it's probably okay. So I'm gonna put that one up there on mine.
Speaking of another head coach who probably should never get another coaching job in college football, Sharon Moore. What was that? My second pick for my Mount Rushmore is the former disgraced head coach of the University of Michigan, Sharon Moore, with the inappropriate relationship with a staff member and the ensuing dumpster fire that happened after that. I mean, breaking into a home. There was rumors that he held a knife up to a throat of someone. I mean, this is all allegedly because I don't think that anything has been officially done at this point, like any official rulings or anything like that. But it was a bizarre finish to the season for the Michigan Wolverines, and it was kind of the end of an era for Michigan. I think everything that has gone on there for the last decade or so is all attached to kind of one group of leadership at the school, and I think this was the culmination of that. And this one is the second one on my Mount Rushmore.
My second one on my Mount Rushmore hits home for both of us. If this guy could drive a Harley, Arkansas might have a national championship. Bobby Petrino's Harley crash. There is no meme that I get chuckle more at than Bobby Petrino with the neck brace on in the press conference.
Yeah. You know what my dad thinks actually happened? We make jokes about this all the time. We always talk about the Bobby Petrino thing. My dad thinks that girl's boyfriend found out and beat the dog piss out of Bobby Petrino. It wasn't actually a motorcycle wreck. It was he got beat up. It looked like someone's boyfriend.
It looked like an old WWF bit, or the guy come in and he's hurt with the neck brace. Turned out he had a staffer on the back of the bike, and it was a bad deal. But Arkansas loved him even at the end, and they wouldn't have kicked him to the curb if they hadn't had to. And as soon as it'd been long enough, they were like, who's out there? It's really good at calling offense, Bobby Petrino. And he was back at Arkansas last 2 seasons.
Yeah, it was like a decade later, and everybody was like, "Yeah, we can bring him back. We forgive him."
Oh, it was so funny.
There was a point in time where that Razorbacks team under Bobby Petrino was like it was one of those things. It was kind of like Ohio State this last season. The prerequisite to make it into the college football national championship was you had to beat Arkansas.
I mean, they would get out there and run over you. It was bad.
It was unbelievable. I just remember all those guys, Joe Adams. There were so many wide receivers on that team, tight ends on that team, running backs on that team. It was an insane offense. But yeah, that's a good one for your second one. My number 3 is when Jim Harbaugh got his first 3-game suspension, and it was a 2-year show cause penalty for his NCAA recruiting violations during the COVID year, where he was basically like buying meals for players. But it was just, another feather in the cap for anyone who likes to hate that school. I don't know if you're noticing a pattern here of the controversies that I'm choosing for my Mount Rushmore, but yeah,
it's not hard.
Jim Harbaugh, kind of the ringleader of all the controversies that's taken place at the University of Michigan over the last decade. He himself was involved in one because of illegal recruiting practices during the COVID dead period. So just the biggest cheaters. It's hilarious. And they always got caught. They always get caught too. That's the funniest thing. Like, everybody does it, but Michigan just always gets caught, and it's hilarious. So that's my number 3.
My number 3, I just watched a documentary about this for the second time. And it still breaks my heart to this day, but this poor guy, this controversy ruined him as a football player. And it was Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's
that documentary
it's easy to laugh at it now. But Manti and I are not very far apart in age. And Manti Te'o's situation was the first time I ever heard the word catfish. And that documentary will break your heart.
Yeah.
Like Notre Dame college football didn't deserve Manti Te'o. I mean, he was everything you would ever want in a college football player. Man of faith, great family, incredibly hard worker. And he just got. And then what ensued for the next 10 years was people just ridiculed him. And to this day, he's never come out and said one negative thing about the person that did that to him. Not one. Even the documentary, I kept going, Manti, you would say something negative. Like, this person ruined your career. And he just refuses and just keeps saying, I'm doing it for the one person that it, might help. But it was wild. Like, it was the craziest thing. Because you just didn't have any frame of reference for this. Like, the show Catfish had not come out.
Yeah.
And social media was so new that you just didn't understand. And then you're thinking, this guy's grandma dies and his girlfriend in the same day, and he's out here playing. And then, you watched on draft day, he slips in the draft for no reason other than that. And then just mentally never the same player. Played in the pros for a long time. So it's not like he didn't, but when he was at Notre Dame, his first, I'd say 3 years at Notre Dame, I mean, there was talks. I was looking back. There were talks about this is a generational linebacker.
Yeah, it was like he was like in Teddy Bruschi, Ray Lewis conversations.
Yeah, and he could do it all.
Yeah, one of those kinds of guys.
He could drop back in coverage. He could get up on the line. He was cat quick. I mean, he was everything. And yeah, if you haven't watched the documentary, I think it's Untold. Is what it's called.
It's a series, I think, that Netflix has, and one of them that they did happen to be about Manti Te'o. Yeah, I remember when that came out, I was like, I gotta watch this. Like, I just have to.
Yeah, and I came out less a fan of the person that did it to him by the end of it. I was like,
yeah, and they were battling their own stuff,
right?
Like they were obviously, dealing with some stuff on their end. But I believe they are out and like openly trans now. So shout out to that person for like living their truth instead of like toying with it and messing with someone else's potential career. Shout out to you for making that your thing. Do you ever watch Good Morning Football?
Oh yeah.
Manti is really great on there. I think he does a really good job on that show.
He is fantastic.
Yeah. He really helps with the corniness that comes out of the table, a diagonal from him, I think is where he sits. Why can't I think of his name right now? Not Kyle Clark. That's the guy out of Denver. What is his name? I can't remember. He does the angry runs scepter thing. He's so cheesy. He's the corniest guy in NFL media, in my opinion, but whatever. That's a different conversation. My fourth and final one, 2023 co-offensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines, Matt Weiss, was fired after a police report suggested that he was involved in unauthorized access to university computer systems, later being accused of hacking over 3,000 student athletes' accounts. And most of them were female athletes at the University of Michigan, and some of the files that were alleged to be included in some of that stuff was very inappropriate material that he absolutely should not have gotten his hands on. But yeah, so all four of mine on my Mount Rushmore date back to all the way to 2023. They all come from the same football program. So clap it up. Your college football or your college basketball national champions. They're brothers in their football field. Just fantastic program.
And when that controversy happened, I just remember thinking, what kind of computer whiz is this guy?
I don't know how he did it, but Jim Harbaugh just knew how to find a bunch of psychopaths. And you would think that if he had that ability, the Chargers would be better, but they are not.
Listen, and it's not on my Mount Rushmore, but if you're going to recruit psychos, you should win. Like, people were like, when Barry Switzer had all kinds of problems at Oklahoma in the 80s with guys, getting in trouble with the law and steroids use and drug use and all this. And when they asked him, he's like, I don't recruit choir boys. And you were like, yeah, but you're winning national championships at least. Like,
yeah. Aaron Hernandez, man, like that University of Florida roster was crazy.
They won. So you're like,
that Tim Tebow and Aaron Hernandez on the same, like he was throwing touchdown passes to this guy. Like, it's just,
if you're going to have a controversy, at least have a winning controversy. But when you just lose, it's bad. Oh man, this one's going to be tough. For my Mount Rushmore, I'm putting this one on here because I think we have there's two guys that we go to bat for when it comes to guys who need to get they need freedom from the controversy. One is Ricky Waters, free Ricky Waters, put him in the NFL Hall of Fame. The other one is Reggie Bush. What the NCAA did to Reggie Bush may be the biggest travesty in the history of college football. Like, the sanctions that the NCAA put on USC over Reggie Bush. I remember there were talks about, the SMU death penalty to that program, all of that stuff right in the middle of when this was happening at every college football program in the country. It was like the NCAA, just like with SMU, said this team and this program has gotten too big. They are too popular. They are, and for people that are young that might watch this, it is hard to wrap your brain around that year, those years at USC, they were more popular than any NFL team.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no one stays up now to watch the Pac-12 after dark anymore. Everyone was staying up to watch USC play against Fresno State.
Yeah.
One of my favorite runs from Reggie Bush, by the way, happened in a Fresno State game. So, yeah.
I mean, it was you turn on the MTV Music Awards red carpet. There'd be four guys from USC who were dates to some person in pop or hip hop music. I mean, it was weird. Like, they were bigger than life. And somehow, with all that craziness that was going on around them, Pete Carroll put national championships together with all of that background noise. I mean, it was crazy. And then, comes out that Reggie Bush had gotten some extra benefits, and his family had gotten a house and this, that, and the other thing, and they take his Heisman away. And the second NIL got locked in, everyone said, "So we giving Reggie Bush his Heisman back?" And I still don't know if they've given him his Heisman back, but I do like that now every media outlet calls him former Heisman Trophy winner Reggie Bush, because this is not an OJ situation here.
His Heisman Trophy was officially reinstated and returned in April of 2024.
It should have happened in 2017. It was bad. And Reggie, for all intents and purposes, great guy.
I also never really understood that punishment, because getting the extra benefits or not, he was still the best player in college football.
Yes, by like a mile.
This isn't the same thing as, like, I can understand them having to get rid of the national champ, like if they had to get rid of the national championship that they had won during that time, because of those benefits are getting you better players to your school. But again, like, that's not Reggie Bush's punishment to bear. So yeah, it never made sense to me, because like, did him getting paid really affect his playing ability?
Think about how crazy the numbers were he put up. And the other guy that was in New York was his quarterback.
Yeah.
So his quarterback put up big enough numbers to get Heisman votes, and so did the running back. That would be like if Joe Burrow. And
he still won it.
Yeah, if like Leonard Fournette and Joe Burrow were on the same LSU team, and both of them had Heisman numbers, that will never happen again. It just can't. The way college football is now, it's one or the other. Like, you're either feeding a running back or your quarterback's throwing it 50 times a game. So it was just wild. But let us know in the comments.
I got my honorable mention one is one that I will never forgive the NCAA for, especially after the sign stealing incident and only getting Michigan a slap on the wrist. Tattoo Gate. What are we talking about? We had so for those of you who don't know what Tattoo Gate was, in 2010, Ohio State players, including their quarterback Terrell Pryor, great football player by the way, were selling their own memorabilia, their gold pants that they get for beating Michigan, Big Ten championship rings, like team issue gear, in return for cash or discounted tattoos from a local tattoo shop. They were selling their own stuff in order to get tattoos or cash. The NCAA came down on them. They had to vacate all 12 wins from the 2010 season, including the Sugar Bowl, and then they got a postseason ban in Urban Meyer's first year as the head coach of Ohio State, where they went 12-0 and would have won the national championship. They got that penalty for players selling their own possessions for money and tattoo discounts. But what did Michigan get for advanced sign stealing that actually gave them a competitive advantage on the field? A flick on the wrist.
And the worst part about
we're starting out the show. This is hilarious. We're starting out the show dogging the NCAA, and we're ending the show dogging the NCAA. NCAA, you suck. I hate you.
And the worst part about this is it muddied the name of one of the
Jim Tressel is
a gentleman of gentlemen.
He is when I think of college football, Jim Tressel, obviously, like, he was the head coach when I first ever watched a national championship game when Ohio State beat Miami. Like, Jim Tressel just embodied what it means to be like a college football guy.
Yeah.
And
it muddied his name for really for a dumb thing, and people forget the things he did for people like Maurice Clarett.
Yeah.
Like how he was in Maurice Clarett's corner in some of the darkest times of Clarett's life.
Yeah.
And he was right there being a father figure to him. And he did that for kids in his program all the time. And then they're like, well, he knew about this arrangement. It's like, guys, like it's tattoos. Like, what What are we doing?
And there's like, again, they're selling their own stuff. Like,
It's not,
they don't want to keep their Big Ten championship
room.
ring. Big deal.
They were going to
selling
Nikes out of the equipment room.
Yeah, like the whole thing was just crazy to me, and I will never forgive the NCAA for that, especially after last year when that ruling came down.
Last honorable mention that I'll give is when we all kind of realized that maybe in the SEC it does mean more, and that was Tumor Corners poisoned trees by Harvey Updike, who then went on the radio and
Rodan Pad.
Like,
legendary moment in college football, dude.
And when they answered the phone, and the most Southern voice you've ever heard in your life.
That man was so North Alabama, it's not even funny.
I just left Tumor Corners and I poisoned them trees. And then everybody in the show gets quiet because they're not sure if this is a bit.
What?
They're like, oh, what?
Yeah, and he was like, remember when they put that Scam Newton jersey on the Paul Bryant statue? Well, guess what I did?
You were like, you know what? Maybe in the SEC it does mean more.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And that moment on, that was, I think that was the moment that actually inspired the Tiger King to go do what he had to do.
I think so. All right. If you haven't yet, make sure that you follow us, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or you were watching the replay. Next week on the show, we will have another Mount Rushmore. We're going to break down some spring games because there is a bunch of them that are happening over this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. And I am going to figure out a way, I think, to get down to the courthouse and see if I can't. I will make some calls this week and figure out what the process is for that. See if I can't sit in on it.
Yeah. It'll be what, next Wednesday? Next Thursday?
Yeah, it'll be fun. That's what I'm here for. What else am I going to do?
We're college football guys.
They go, where are you from? I'm from the Water Boys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I have no press badge, no media badge, no nothing.
I don't need. I've got some press lanyards. I may just wear a press lanyard with an old, and just see if it is so nobody says anything.
We got 1,100 subs on YouTube. Let us in.
Yeah. All right. Make sure to follow us. For myself and Strez, have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your week. And we are just months away from college football kickoff.
God bless Bo Nix.